Good morning and welcome to our devotions for today, Friday, the end of another week. And we had a very eventful week. We had the All Saints Day, we had All Souls Day in there as well. Giving us an opportunity to reflect on our own journey, on where we are, and remembering those who've gone before us, those who have given us some guidelines and some tips as to how to journey through this time. And so we would have remembered them during the course of the past week. I trust that your memories were pleasant as you reflect on those who have gone on, recognizing that yes, we will see them again, because this is how this entire creation has been established, that we will see our loved ones again and we will be together, for we have been together so many different times. So with that being said and being fully understood, we move towards the end of this week and we give God thanks for all that we have received during this week, and we trust that the week to come may have its own blessings and its own opportunities for engagement. I want to ask you today to remember in your prayers Tristan Lockhart and Jamal Turnquest, our two new seminarians who just started their journey. They were matriculated last evening, and we thank Bishop Michael as visitor for coming over and leading us in that act of worship. We continue to pray for him in his ministry, trusting that God will lead him from one degree of glory to another. And so today we come now to our time of devotion as we bring our week to a close. And as we do so, we do so mindful of all the things that we have benefited from. You know, it is a good idea to look back at the end of a year and see how far we've come. But things are traveling so quickly in this time that I want to encourage you to get into the habit of looking back at the end of a week and see what you've accomplished in that week. See where you might have tripped up. See where the areas for you to continue to learn and to explore still rest. And also to see how you are doing with your time with God. Are you improving that time with God? Or are you still in that place where you're wishing that you could spend more time, or you had more time to be with God, or to read, or to reflect, or even to meditate? You got to watch those things, because those things drag on from week to week, from month to month, from year to year, and we stagnate. So, as I say this, I also want to say to you this morning that I trust that you don't use these devotions that we do together as your end-all and be-all. I am just being general and offering you some guidelines and a little bit of guidance, but it is even more important for you on your own to do your own devotion, to do your own periods of meditation and reflection, and allow the Spirit to guide you without any kind of interference from anyone else on the outside. So please don't let these devotions that we do day by day take over your whole devotion life. That's not what this is intended to do. This is just intended to remind you about the importance of doing it and encouraging you to do your own. So let us come into our quiet space, and if we are somewhere where there's disturbance, let's see if we can shift and be someplace else, someplace where we can be with God. And this is the end of the week. It's the end of a period. And life is about periods. Life has various seasons. Everything is for a time. And we're always encouraged to observe the periods, observe the seasons, and to recognize when something has come to an end and when something else is about to be birthed. We see it with our breathing. As we breathe in, we realize that there's something new taking place. As we breathe out, we recognize that that which was of great use is now no more. We see it with life and dying. As we recognize those moments when we realize a person is leaving us, we oftentimes don't reflect on what they are getting ready for. We oftentimes just focus on what they're saying goodbye to. But we know that every goodbye is a hello in another context, in another place. As one door closes, another opens. And so I want us to hold that image in our minds, even as we breathe. As we breathe out and realize that's the end of a period, we breathe in and we welcome a new time, a new space, a new opportunity. We set new goals. How have you managed your goals for this past week? Where have you grown? Where have you been challenged? And how did you respond to those challenges? Do you find that you're responding to your challenges differently? Do you find that what once appeared to be mountains are becoming molehills? Or are you seeing it the other way? What used to be molehills seem now to be mountains. Just ask yourself this morning, where am I? Seriously, just ask yourself, where am I? In this grand scheme of life, where am I at this moment? Am I in a place of growth? Am I in a place of stagnation? Can I feel within me something birthing? Or am I feeling within me something dying? What of my friends? Am I beginning to lose interest in them? Am I outgrowing them? Am I feeling more and more of a disconnect? Am I feeling as though we're not speaking the same language anymore? Where am I? What's my pulse like? As we come into that space this morning, we want to be open and honest with ourselves. We want to feel what God is doing in us. We want to take a really good look at where we are and what it is that we're doing. How are we being fed? How are we being fed? In our scripture reading for today, we encounter Jesus in one of those really familiar stories from Matthew, where Jesus attends to those in his care. Jesus withdrew from the place he was in a boat, and he went to a deserted place by himself. And the crowds heard of it. They followed him on foot from the towns. When he went ashore, he saw a great crowd, and he had compassion for them and cured their sick. When it was evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Send the crowds away so that they may go into the village and buy food for themselves." Jesus said to them, "They need not go away. You give them something to eat." They replied, "We have nothing here but 5 loaves and 2 fish. And Jesus said, "Bring them here to me." Then he ordered the crowds to sit down on the grass. Taking the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, he looked up to heaven and blessed and broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples. And the disciples gave them to the crowds. And all ate and were filled, and they took up what was left over of the broken pieces, 12 baskets full. And those who ate were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Here ends the reading.
Love to
So we are here at the end of the week, and no doubt you're looking forward to the weekend and all that the weekend has to offer. There's a sense of tiredness that comes upon you at the end of the week as you feel that you've spent it all, you've given all that you've got, and you long to be replenished and renewed. The reading for today, the Feeding the 5,000, is such a beautiful reading. And sometimes you wonder what you can do with it. It seems so miraculous, so majestic, so powerful. It tells of the hunger that people have for truth, the hunger that people have for the simple, basic teaching about God. Whenever I think of Jesus, I always think of this tremendously simplistic method of being with people. Just being with. No airs, no graces, no entourage, no protocol, no nothing. Just himself and his buddies, and just being with people. And you really have to love people to be a Jesus. You really have to love people. You have to love them in all their failures, in all their successes, in all their brokenness, in all their weaknesses. You've got to love them. Perhaps there's a message that we need to hear again. We don't only love them when they're good. We don't only love them when we think they're being perfect. But we love them. We love them just because. Is that experience of being loved just because that caused those people to follow Jesus on foot when he went off the deserted place? Because they felt love. So oftentimes you feel loved. Yeah, people say they love you, and you say you love them. But if we were really honest, many of us don't really feel that we are loved. And part of that sense of feeling that you're loved is that you're seen. We don't see people much these days. We see what we want to see or what they want us to see. We don't see people. They're just there. I was listening to our Prime Minister's presentation in Glasgow, and what struck me very forcefully about the entire presentation was presence. It's a little island, hardly a drop in the ocean, but it had a presence. It demanded to be seen, not shooed away, not brushed aside, but it demanded to be seen. And she made the world understand what nonsense the world is doing to places that they only consider as places of sandy beaches and sea and frolicking and place to go for a few weeks and then go back to their real lives. The PM caused the world to see little Barbados. People want to be seen. It's only when you are seen that you have that sense of being person. And when you have that sense of being a person, then you're treated as a person. Jesus caused these people to be seen. They felt something in his presence. And because of that, they took no thought about making provision for the road home, or even for sustenance while there. It was more important to be seen, to be in that presence, to be in that energy, to be felt, and to feel like person. And when the day was done, the disciples said to Jesus, we need to send him away. We need to let him know that it's time to go. Because there's no place here to get something to eat. And Jesus said to them, they don't have to go anywhere. You feed them. What an interesting invitation from Jesus. It just reminds us that we don't always know what we have. And again, the same thing applies with the disciples. They too were in Jesus' presence because they felt seen. They felt like persons. They were not the riffraff anymore. They were persons. And now Jesus invites them to be more than just his disciples. He invites them to be workers of wonders. Because he invites them to go deeper. So then that says something else. It says that sometimes to be seen means that we have to see ourselves first. Because if we can't see ourselves, then how can somebody else see us? So Jesus brought the disciples a little further along than the crowd. And he caused them to look within themselves and see what they had and to use what they had to bring about something miraculous. That's what happens in this world when we connect with Jesus. He causes us to look within ourselves and bring out something wonderful. Bring out something marvelous, something great, something powerful. That's what Jesus does. That's what Jesus wants to do with you and with me as well. Cause us to bring out something magical, miraculous out of ourselves.